What's going on, guys? I'm Ben Bateman.
And I'm Andrew Guy.
And we are the Action Guys. Cooler every time we say it.
Sick! So sick!
I thought you were saying sexy, but you were just saying sick.
Nope, just sick.
Yeah, cool. What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. Welcome. I can't do that with my voice.
What I just did?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a talent. It's talent. It's not. It's not. It's a bad thing. Was it Joe Lotruglio? Is that who did it?
Yeah. I love you, man.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites.
Big shout out to our good friend Matt Haggerty, who's the guy that tells him to shut the fuck up.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I forgot about that.
Every
That's terrific.
time that he pops up in that movie, I'm always so
It's Hags.
dumbfounded by it.
He doesn't look like different the way sometimes when you see a friend in a movie where you're like, oh, they're skinnier, their hair was longer, or
exact same.
He is exactly the same. Yeah, it's funny. Guys, this is the Action Guys. We this is I'm Ben Baby. That's Drew, and we like to talk about movies on this show.
Yeah. So the best way to kind of describe what we do on the show is we take an idea, usually like a sound or like a one-off, which is like we saw Arctic with Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, and there's kind of the way the scientific process that we use.
It's very elaborate.
First, we'll look at what's coming out. Then we watch the things that are coming out.
Yep.
Then we decide on Action Movie Anatomy, the other show that we do every week, which is much more one movie specific, kind of what we're going to cover. And we find, is there an idea that relates to it that we kind of want to talk about? So on this show, this one is titled Man vs. Wild, the Action Guys Take on Mother Nature.
That's a sweet name.
It's a good name.
It's a good one.
We watched The Gray, the Joe Carnahan movie with Liam Neeson. We watched that on the Team Action Action Movie Anatomy. I'm having a stroke.
I would have saved you if I wasn't drinking water.
Yeah. And we covered The Gray, which was a very fun episode. And Arctic was kind of boring, so we decided that rather than... And I don't want to actually just... I don't want to run a bus over Arctic.
Yeah, because
it's unfair.
It was good.
I enjoyed Arctic, and I would recommend you guys when that movie is available to be watched.
Yes,
it's worth a watch. Mads is super sweet.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. The cinematography is beautiful. They shoot what looks like all on location. It's super cool. It's one of those movies where you watch it and you like feel cold when you watch it because they do such a good job. But not a lot really happens in it.
It's missing a lot of the qualities that we are going to talk about here on this show that make the best wilderness survival films and like surviving in the wild movies really appealing. It's an interesting genre because we've seen a lot of them over the years, and you have really basic kind of boring ones like Arctic where like it's not... He doesn't have to like fight natives. He doesn't have a giant confrontation with an animal.
Confrontation. There's no confrontation. It's just cold.
It's also just him. Like that movie is listed with him and another actress, but she has like two murmurs. She like doesn't really have anything in the movie.
And I like have a problem with kind of how it went down with her. Like it didn't seem like she was injured enough for that to happen. But that being said, you should watch Arctic. It was good enough to watch once for sure. Mads is great. Again, the cinematography is awesome. But it got us to thinking about this really unique niche genre. And it's even more niche than I think action comedies, which is something we covered a few weeks ago.
And I think it's more niche now than it kind of used to be because it falls very distinctly into the category that we talk about a lot where this is not the type of movie that studios want to put money into.
Yeah.
They kind of used to. There was back in the day like disaster movies and kind of survival movies. You get a little more mileage out of those. But the traditional ones, the ones that we're really talking about, which is like somebody and they're trapped in the woods, or they're trapped in the snow, or like they're trapped on the water in a boat, and they have to figure out how to survive. They're slower, and often studios are like, that's just not going to make that much money unless you put like John Cena. And even if you do, like John Cena was one of the stars of The Wall, which is kind of that, and it didn't make any money.
Talking about that Matt Damon movie?
No, it's...
oh, that's The Great Wall.
The Great Wall. No, Doug Liman did a movie a couple years ago. Haggerty actually worked on it with Cena and this actor whose name I can't think of. Oh, no. It was Aaron Taylor Johnson. And it's literally they're soldiers, and they're like trapped behind a wall during like Iraq War, I think.
Yeah.
There's like a sniper, and they're like locked down behind this wall.
Right.
And the whole movie is like basically them behind this wall.
And you're
trying
just
to
like...
survive. And like it had John Cena. It didn't make any money.
Right.
So like it...
And that was back when he was like... He hadn't shown that he was kind of this one-note or like two-note actor. Because I like John Cena. He does a good job at what he's supposed to do. He was great in Blockers.
Yeah, he's
and
funny.
I also thought he was great in Bumblebee, playing that cardboard like bad guy, like military guy. But as you said, studios don't really want to invest a lot of money in these movies unless it is something like a Twister or like, you know what I mean?
Or you have a crazy like visionary director. Like, so I'm just gonna read a list here that we wrote down of some of the movies that kind of are in this, and better or for worse, I should say, because they don't all qualify in the same way. We'll get the rules. But 127 Hours, Into the Wild, The Road, The Gray, The Revenant, The Edge, Everest, The Martian, Gravity, Lone Survivor, Children of Men, Defiance, Adrift, Twister, The Day After Tomorrow, Castaway, Life of Pi, All Is Lost. Now, there's others.
Yeah. We almost forgot Castaway somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know how we did, but we almost did. But I think what's really important is to kind of differentiate why these, like, specifically the wilderness survival movies we're talking about, because there's a decent amount of these that have to do with space, have to do with post-apocalyptic, have to do with, like, varying other factors. The first thing that we want to talk about in qualifying the movies that we're going to discuss is number one, Mother Nature and its beasts.
Her beasts.
Her beasts.
We should say.
Her beasts are the antagonist.
Right.
Nothing else.
Like there's so going through this list, like we can start to kind of weed out movies that feel like they're slightly different genre, right? Like so you take, for instance, The Road. Really, The Road, the villain in The Road is not Mother Nature. The Road is civilization and
humans.
People and like cannibals and like, so that's a different feeling, different kind of movie. Kind of same with Children of Men. Post-apocalyptic feels like a distinctly different genre.
Yeah. And I'm going to cross off Defiance off the list as well, because even though they are trying to survive in the woods from the Nazis, they still are also the Nazis are the antagonists.
And
it's
I would
not
say
about just survival.
By the same standard, you can probably cross off Lone Survivor because same thing. It's your hostiles in another country, hostiles that are trying to kill you. That's a different antagonist. It makes the movie a lot more human and a lot less relatable. I think what's so relatable about the concept we have here, Mother Nature and its beasts, is that let's say you grew up in Wisconsin fishing and you like grew up in the country. You probably grew up like understanding how to fish, how to shoot a gun. You probably saw animals in the wild sometimes. Like you knew a lot of people that like to go hunting. You went to Dick's Sporting Goods probably. Like that's,
hell, dude, you just described me growing up in Oregon, honestly.
Yeah, and a little more rural. Versus like me, like I'm kind of a middle class white kid pussy in some ways. Like I grew up in Seattle.
He
like
said it, not me.
My dad's a therapist. My mom's a painter. Like pretty liberal. Like I had different upbringing. I almost never fished in my life. Never shot a gun. Like didn't go to sporting goods stores.
Still never shot a gun?
Never.
Really?
And so
I got a gun in my car right now. No, I don't.
Whether it's you or it's me, we can both relate to, like, on the one hand, if you grew up with that upbringing where you did do that stuff, when you see someone trapped in the woods trying to make a fire, you're like, oh, okay. If I was in this situation, this is what I would do. Versus me, I look at that situation, I'm like, wow, like that's crazy to think about because I would have no idea what I was doing. Like that's what a romantic notion that you would have to survive in the woods.
And like some of the coolest points of Arctic, they did a really good job on really taking that moment and magnifying it. Like one of the best moments in the whole movie for me, and it's not a huge spoiler, but he literally finds a lighter.
Yeah.
A lighter, and he lights it. And I remember just like being like, like I was so hyped that he found this lighter because, I think that what you're talking about is relatability.
Yeah,
right?
and so I think that's because we all have dealt with Mother Nature. We all have dealt with an animal. Like, we understand when it's uncontrollable, like, the elements. I think factor number two is that...
Really quickly, I just want to take off the Martian and Gravity as well because Mother Nature isn't in space. She is on Earth.
Mother Space.
That's a sweet movie. We gotta write that movie.
Mother Space.
The reason I'm going to take him off is because I think relatability is really important. And again, we talked about Mother Nature and her beast. So I'm going to take off The Martian and Gravity just because it's like, I understand the idea. I watch Arctic or I watch 127 Hours. I watch these movies. It's like, I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to be cold. I know what it's like to be lost.
The last one, I think, too, you can take off here. There's another genre, and that's the disaster movie genre. San Andreas, Twister, The Day After Tomorrow. Those movies, I think that like you're dealing with elements that are unrealistic, right? Like a catastrophic earthquake that's like ending the city and like half of the city's dropping in the ocean.
Yeah.
Or all the elements are coming together at the same time to destroy
the geostorms. Or Twister, where it's just like every tornado in the world is happening in the same place. Again, you lose. On our show, Action Movie Anatomy, we have a thing called the 3 categories.
Yeah.
It's totally legitimate, totally ridiculous, or ridiculously legitimate. And I think those categories kind of explain themselves. I want every legitimate man versus wild movie to be, that's going to be on this list. I want it to be totally legitimate.
Yeah, right.
And I don't feel like any of those disaster movies ever fall in that category.
So what we're left with on this list of the movies are 127 Hours, Into the Wild, The Gray, The Revenant, The Edge, Everest, Adrift, Castaway, Life of Pi, All Is Lost. Every one of those, you're either dealing with snow, the woods, or the water.
And our second qualifying factor, if you want to go through it, I believe these all should fall in that category, correct?
Civilization is the savior. It's the notion that at any point in time during this experience, if you could just get back to civilization, if you could just find people, if somebody on a boat could find you, if you could just find a town somewhere,
if they could just see your flair, if you if I could just have a goddamn drinking fountain, you know, like whatever it is,
anything, and that's the difference is like it's just that you are just stranded, so you can't find, like, you need that help. And then finally, the last category is that the average person, myself and yourself included,
100%,
pictures themselves dying at some point during the viewing experience, which I think is like, yeah, of course.
It's totally legitimate. I mean, like, you should be watching these movies. Like, if I am Aaron Ralston, 127 hours, I don't break my arm twice and then cut it off and rip out a nerve ending.
Yeah.
I just die. Like, that just happens.
I just start crying as my arm's halfway cut off.
Yeah.
God damn
it hurts so bad.
Yeah,
He's
right.
drinking his own pee at that point. Like, no way.
Yeah.
No freaking way.
I love in This Is the End that they make fun of not only the gun, but also when Craig Robinson starts drinking his own piss. He's like peeing all over his face.
It's the gun from 27 Hours.
It's 127 hours. Huh? What? That movie is like masterclass comedy. It's one of my favorite comedies.
We need to watch it again. So, guys, we've narrowed this list down, and now that we have this narrowed down list, we want to go through and kind of talk about these movies a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, there's some moments that are really important. Before we get to the second half of the show, or second, fourth, or whatever, had a stroke.
Fourth.
Sorry. I want to remind everybody here, we are on the Collider Movie Talk feed, the podcast feed. You may be hearing us there. If you are, leave a rating, leave a review, 5 stars preferably. Let us know you're enjoying the show. Also, like, subscribe on YouTube. We're on the Collider Podcasts channel.
And the comments. The comments have been overwhelming and amazing. Like our Batman, Spider-Man, the action comedies videos. There's so many comments. Ben and I love to read all of them. We can't always respond to all of them, but we do read them also. Sorry to cut you off.
It's one of the most important possible things you can do is to check that out. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Let them know how much you enjoy this show, so we can keep getting bigger guests, doing bigger shows. And if you want to follow along with the conversation, you can find me personally at Ben Bateman Media.
You can find me at Andrew Guy, and you can find us collectively at Team Action Show.
Yeah. So I think on top of those factors, there's another sort of big moment that happens in these movies, right? Like, and it's the kind of like shit's going, it's going, and then it's the like, holy shit, I'm fucked.
Right. It's the you said shit, so shit or get off the pot moment. It's the moment where you realize in this movie you either have to go one way or die. Like, there's no other way. It's just the one or you're dead.
It's like the shit just got real moment.
Yes.
It's like, okay, so this is that's what this movie is.
And I'm going to kick it off with 127 Hours because it's the first on our list. They do a great job of that movie. I love when people do delayed titles.
Yeah.
And 127 Hours pops up the moment he falls down, the rock falls on his arm, he realizes he's stuck, and then boom, 127 hours. Now, I think that is almost the oh shit moment.
Yeah.
I think the real oh shit moment comes later on when he actually just stabs himself in the arm.
What does he stab with, like a dull pocket knife?
He's got this like Leatherman's tool with this dull ass like 3-inch pocket knife or blade on it, and he left his sharp knife at home. He almost grabs it, but he can't reach it in the beginning of the movie, and he doesn't grab it.
Yeah.
And that would have been like a lifesaver. I think it was even serrated. He probably could have got through bone easier.
Wow.
But yeah, so that moment, I think, is when he stabs himself, and he's like, it fucking hurts. You know, like it hurts, and he takes it out and he leaves it. That's the moment for me, because I think he's realized in his mind, I need to cut off this arm.
Right.
I'm not crazy enough to do it yet.
Yeah.
That's the moment.
Yeah, whereas like I think like in The Gray, the plane goes down, and again, you guys should watch The Gray. We just did a whole hour-long episode over on Action Movie Anatomy. Liam Neeson's sweet, super entertaining. In The Gray, like I think what it is the plane goes down, they're all sort of trying to figure it out, and then all of a sudden you realize there's wolves there, and they all see the wolves. The wolves all line up, and you see their eyes.
They're just the pitch black with the glowing eyes.
And you're standing there, and you realize like, okay, so now we're stuck out in the snow with a group of wolves, like blood-hungry wolves.
Like big-ass wolves.
And like there's like as many of us as there are wolves. So that's now the story. That's the inciting incident. Like if we don't figure it out, we're all getting eaten by wolves straight up.
And I love the juxtaposition because earlier on it shows how easily Liam kills a wolf because he's hired to kill wolves, like on this dig or this whatever. This
Has like
site.
a sweet rifle.
Yeah.
They're like boomsticks are so sweet.
Yeah, those aren't really sweet. I love that. I mean, they only use it the once, but it's super.
Yeah.
It's super badass.
I love that they just kill one wolf. Yeah, it's
whole
worth a
movie.
watch, guys. It's definitely worth a watch.
And then Into the Wild, it's definitely it is the crux of the film. It's that moment when Chris McCandless finds out, holy shit, I don't want to be here forever, and my path home is gone.
Yeah.
It's like the river has overflowed, or it's the winter time, so the river's bigger than normal. He can't swim across or walk across this gap anymore, and then he starts to get really hungry.
Yeah.
And that's what.
That's why he eats the berries, right?
And that's what kills him. Yeah, which I think is, God, that movie's beautiful and so brutally depressing.
I haven't seen it since theaters.
It's so good.
Yeah.
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 The Edge.
The Edge is a fan favorite, Drew and I, and
I'm gonna kill that motherfucker.
I mean, The Edge. I guess it's probably when Michael from Lost gets eaten by the bear.
It totally is. I'm
Right.
so glad because we actually haven't talked about these moments beforehand,
Yeah.
which I think is great because that is it. It's 100% it because up until that point, you think like Anthony Hopkins is smart enough and he's read enough, and like there's 3 of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then Bert the bear.
Yeah, Bart, right?
Bart. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know why most people die in the wild, bub? Why, Charles? Why? They die of shame.
They die of shame, Bob.
Ah, that movie's so good.
What does that even mean, Charles? I've got to go read another book.
What a wonderful thing to know, Charles.
God, we just need to do that movie again.
Yeah, we do.
It's so good.
It's one of the best ever.
The Revenant, I think, is it? Oh, this one's interesting.
I've only seen it the one time. Probably for me, The Revenant is when maybe it's when he I don't know.
It's got to be the bear attack, right?
It's pretty harrowing.
Oh God, and he's just a useless corpse after for a while.
How does he heal? Does he get picked up by Indians? Is that what happens?
He just lays.
And
They drag him around for a while,
and then they leave him.
and then they leave him, and then the son's trying to stop him. That's
He
when
was
Hardy
buried
kills.
right. Yeah.
Buried right. Oh, Hardy's so good in that movie.
He's got no scalp, right? He got scalped.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? That's why he's so
Creepy,
hateful.
disgusting. Yeah,
Gross looking. The beginning of that movie's crazy. The
Oh yeah,
the beginning, the single shot or
Shootout
whatever.
or whatever you want to put.
I'd have to watch it again, but yeah, I never found that I
I
had
didn't
much.
love that movie.
I liked it a lot. I just didn't have much motivation to watch it again. It didn't feel like a movie that I felt compelled to go revisit.
Right.
And in fact, I would actually argue that the vast majority of the movies on this list, in the specific category we're talking about, are not movies that I've ever really been compelled to revisit.
That
the
is
only one on
interesting.
here I've watched again is The Edge. I think otherwise,
And The Edge is kind of silly and ridiculous. And I think the reason why you haven't revisited them is because it's gut wrenching.
yeah, I mean, so I think that's really important for us to talk about. Is why is The Edge so much more entertaining than Arctic? What is it about The Edge versus Arctic versus The Gray? And I think the answer is Arctic doesn't have a bear fight. It doesn't have a wolf fight.
It teases a bear fight, which I think is actually even more of a mistake.
Yeah, it makes you think early, because there's moments in Arctic where I leaned over to you 20 minutes and I was like, you know what,
Sweet.
the music's good.
Yeah.
I was like, this is well put together. Mads is sick, and you see the bear, the bear eats his fish, and you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah, you're like,
he's a polar bear. You see the polar bear, he's up on the hill. You're like, this is gonna be sweet.
Yep.
He's gonna have to take on this polar bear. That's his way out. He's
That's
gonna have
what
to kill the polar bear. He'll be saved once he kills that polar bear.
right. For some reason, we thought, it's he'd have enough food, he'd be warm enough. Who knows?
I mean, we're action movie guys. It's not surprising.
Yeah,
We would
it's-
see the polar bear and assume that killing the polar bear.
He's got to kill it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and I think we were talking about that, not the relatability, but not wanting to watch it again because it is hard to watch these people die. I mean, because in all of them, almost every single one, they just kind of die.
So, I mean, or people around them are
Yeah.
dying throughout the movie. Yeah, absolutely, no question. So, I think it's probably important in time for us to get to our top 3 survival fist pump moments from these movies.
Yeah, we don't need to just keep talking and going through the list. I think you guys get the idea of what we're talking about. So now this fist pump, now let's talk about this really quick. Are we talking about a real fist pump? Are we talking about a fist pump or also this is too much for me?
In these movies, because there was a conversation of when we would die in each movie.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need to go through the whole list. I was more thinking we do fist pump moment on Action Movie Anatomy, which is our, it's our fuck yeah moment.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a good opportunity for us to talk about each of these movies. And I'm going to expand it past the really specific list, because there's only like the 8 or 9.
Right.
I'm gonna say any of the movies on this list you can pick a fist pump from, as long as it kind of pertains. You feel like that moment in the movie pertains to the genre, right? So like I don't want like gunfights in Lone Survivor.
Okay.
But if there's like a big fall down a hill in Lone Survivor moment, that's something that would happen in the other movies.
Yeah. Okay. So I think my very first fist pump
Yeah.
is gonna probably be from Children of Men.
Sweet.
And I think it's the moment when Sid sees the baby.
Yeah.
Now I know it's just really quick, and he's oh shit, holy shit.
Yeah.
He like backs away, and he's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
everything
yeah.
stops.
I love that
and,
moment.
And I think it goes hand in hand with the moment at the end, which I think was actually your fist pump on the show. Was when the whole war stops.
Oh,
the
yeah.
shootout stops.
Incredible,
'cause the
incredible.
baby's walking through, and
Yeah.
I love that because I think what's so cool is it shows exactly how crazy the world can get when we have no hope,
Right.
and how calm it can be when we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
it's like madness, calm, and then it goes right back to madness after one shot. It's like
Yeah.
we forgot all over it, as fickle as humans are. So that is my first survival movie fist pump.
So I think I'll go. I'll jump right back into my favorite of the films on this list, The Edge. Surprise, surprise. And I think and we talked about this a long time ago on AMA, but like it's definitely the moment when they're kind of, Michael from Lost, whose name I can't think of right now.
Can't remember his name in the movie.
I should know it, but he dies, and you've got Baldwin and Hopkins, and they're surviving, and they're kind of they're in this circle with like stakes, with like burning stakes around a circle, and Anthony Hopkins realizes that the bear's been tracking them the whole time, and he runs back and he's like, "He's a Manny-to-bub. He's a Manny-to-bub," and he's like, "He's been tracking us all along."
What are you talking about, Charles?
Yeah, and they have this incredible exchange about what one man can do, another can do, and I'm gonna kill the motherfucker and all this stuff. And how can we beat the bear? It's smarter. How can we beat the bear? It's smarter than we are. It's stalking us, for God's sakes.
Baldwin is so God, guys, go and watch Action Movie Anatomy of the Edge.
Yeah.
One of the best episodes
One of
we've
my
ever
favorites
done.
we've ever done. And for me, that moment when they realize they're gonna have to fight the bear is a huge fist bump for me.
You get so hyped, and as you said, it finishes with, "And I'm gonna kill the motherfucker."
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's so great. This is a weird one, but it's a moment that stuck with me for my whole life, ever since I saw this movie the very first time. It's when Tom Hanks knocks his tooth out in Castaway.
I don't even remember it.
So he's got.
Does he have a cavity?
He has like a really gnarly cavity that's like here. I think he even talks about it before he gets on the plane.
Yeah.
He's like, "I have a toothache. It's been bothering me a little bit." It's just like a little nugget Zemeckis throws in there.
Yeah.
And then like halfway through the movie, after he's learned to create fire, which the moment when he creates fire,
Yeah.
if we're talking like true fist pump and
Yeah.
survival, that's probably actually it.
I haven't seen it since theaters since 2000.
Yeah, because he's like sitting there whittling a stick together, and he does it for hours, and he like cuts his hand really badly, and he
Yeah.
freaks out. But then he finally learns how to make fire. Sorry, I have this cough that's been going around. But the reason that it sticks with me so much is because like I have to learn how to make fire if I'm going to be on an island.
Yeah.
I have to.
Right.
Like it's just something that's going to happen.
It's essential.
I don't know if I'm going to have to use an ice skate and a rock to knock a tooth out that is eating my mouth alive.
Is that what he uses?
He literally is like, he uses like a knife and like a ice skate,
For the mirror so you can see it?
ice skate on the tooth, and then he's like, and then he's just,
And he
he
knocks
just
himself
knocks
out.
himself out.
He wakes up with like blood all over himself.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the turn in the movie. Like,
Yeah.
but like that moment for me, I'll never forget it, dude. It stuck with me for what, like, when did that movie
Almost
come
20
out?
years.
Almost 20 years, yeah.
The movie came out in 2000.
That shit. And I've never even had a cavity.
Have you seen it since that first came out?
Yeah, I love Castaway.
Yeah, I have to watch it again. I've always wanted to go back and rewatch Castaway. I'm going to go next with my fist bump moment, and it's in Defiance, which is an Ed Zwick movie that stars Daniel Craig.
Which, thank you. I actually watched it, I think, 2 days ago.
Yeah,
because you
Liev
told me to.
Schreiber. It's a good movie.
It's good.
And it's well done. I mean, it's got some really nice payoffs. But the moment I love is there's this really cold winter, and Craig is sick, and he's like the leader of like the Jews. It's like they're in the woods being hunted by Nazis, and there's like this small group of Jews.
Craig Robinson.
Yeah, and Daniel Craig is like really sick, and as a leader, he like can't keep it together, and so for the whole winter he's like almost dying. So finally like kind of these guys in his camp are like sort of bullying the women, and they're like just kind
they're like the roughneck fighters of the group.
yeah, and they're just assholes. And somebody tells him like these guys are like, and he can barely hear, and they're like, you're losing control of the group.
Yep.
And Craig like stumbles out of his tent. I feel he looks like he's dying, and he's like, wrapped in a coat. And he just shoots the guy, right?
Well, what happens is because these guys are saying, we should get more food and better food first.
Because we fight harder.
Fight to get the food.
Yeah, and Craig
and Craig's like, that goes against my rules, blah, blah, blah. He's like, that goes against my command. And the guy's like, you're no longer in command.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of like turns away.
Yeah.
Like kind of defeated. And then just turns back and just straight shoots
Just
him.
shoots the guy. And then he says something like, if anybody else has something to say, this is my camp. Yeah. You're like, James Bond, yes!
Yeah, and it's such a great moment because I actually had to, me, I love Clash Royale. I'm always playing it. I had to go back because I realized I was like, a sweet moment just happened. And I rewound and watched the whole thing again.
It's great. Yeah, I remember watching that in theaters and really, really loving that moment. That was like...
It's a good movie.
Yeah, really.
I don't know how I really missed it.
Defiance is really solid.
Yeah,
I mean, Zwick, Last Samurai, I think that might have been his next movie after Last Samurai.
God,
Might have been one between, but...
It's a long gap.
Yeah, I mean, Defiance is probably high school, so... No, it's probably his next movie. Last Samurai is 03. I would think Defiance is probably like right around the same time as Casino.
08?
Yeah, it might be a little before. Like 08 would have been my guess, but that seems kind of late. But that seems it's right in the Daniel Craig runs, actually, so probably 08's right.
I love Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, he's great.
I feel like he never gets enough
Is
love.
he his brother in that movie? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
They're brothers.
Right? Yeah. I think I just got to do it. My number one is 127 hours. It's the moment when he breaks his arm twice because it's finally like I'm doing it now.
Yeah, right.
This is the moment. I've already stabbed my arm. I realize I can't cut through bone because that's what he also does is he hits the bone. And that's another reason why he stops. And then you get like the swell. Danny Boyle and his swells with music is so great. And you get the... Oh, and then you get he's like feeling it around. He's like trying to fight it. Then you get the other one. You're just like, oh, God. That, though, like the moment of the human spirit is an unbreakable, the most powerful thing in the world. And once
Franco got a nod for that, didn't he?
I think so. I think he had to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like that moment when he decides he's going to break it. Oh, and the two snaps. Done.
Yeah. Yeah, that's again, most of these movies I saw in theaters and haven't watched since. I'm going to go with my third one, and it's tempting to go with like Everest or like one of these like more survival movies. And I like Everest. I think that movie's kind of underrated.
I do too.
I think the movie's pretty good. It's a huge cast.
I think my fist bump in that's probably when Brolin just wakes up and he's half dead.
Yeah.
Like half frozen.
And he stumbles back into camp. All his fingers are gone.
And his nose. And
Yeah.
like somehow he survived. Like he just slept outside on Everest with no cover in a storm.
There's a sweet moment in that movie that I really like when Jason Clarke's up on the mountain and he's escorting that guy and it's so cold and they're running out of oxygen and it's just that quiet moment where the guy just falls.
Yeah.
And you just don't even, like, he doesn't even notice him and the guy just falls.
Are you talking about when they're crossing the little thing and he just falls off?
Yep. Yeah, that's a sweet moment. But what I was going to say is I think that my last fist bump moment is in Lone Survivor, which is a controversial movie for movie fans, I think, because it's weird. Like, there's this... How do you describe it? Okay.
I'm very curious to hear what you're about to say.
Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg and the military and the, like, very, like, macho, like... There's just this feeling that those movies have, and that one specifically, it's very patriotic, it's very American. Right. So, like, people that I know that are, like, movie fans, movie critics, that are a little less willing to just, like, enjoy what they enjoy. It almost
feels like a little bit more, like, almost like propaganda to them.
Political. They have a hard time allowing themselves to enjoy something that feels so like Americans killing terrorists. And what I've always found with that movie, though, is it's just a really good movie. It's a great group. It's well acted. It's well written. And actually, there's a ton of moments in that movie between the characters that I love.
Yeah.
But my favorite part of the entire movie is the first 3 minutes, and it's the actual real footage of the real SEALs.
Yeah.
And they're playing this incredible music. I think it's Steve Jablonsky wrote the score for that movie, and it's really like uplifting and inspiring, and it's all these guys going through basic training to be Navy SEALs. And it's like how long can you hold your breath? Like, I've reached my limit, and all these guys, and the camaraderie. And it's just, if you watch it, it's very powerful. It's really well done.
They're all sitting in the water, like freezing together. And
the beginning and then the end when they play the Peter Gabriel version of Heroes, the David Bowie song, as they show the real pictures of each of the soldiers that were lost in Operation Red Wings. Both of those 2 moments give me chills. Yeah. And I would recommend anyone who hasn't seen Lone Survivor, strip away any American agenda with that movie and just watch it as a movie, and it's fucking phenomenal.
Watch it as like a band of brotherhood, as opposed to like just American soldiers.
I mean, Ben Foster is so good. Taylor Kitsch is so good. Emile Hirsch is so good.
So good. Emile Hirsch, he's so great.
Like, I just love all of them in that movie. I just love that movie. So that movie has a lot of good fist pump moments for me.
Yeah, and I think that actually that's basically the show today.
Yeah,
honestly.
the survival stuff. There was some other stuff that we kind of could go into. There's like some funny tropes that show up in these movies, like the like when you first cook a meal moment, like when you kill an animal and eat it moment.
Yep. The first thing that you catch, because that happens in almost every single one.
Arctic, Mads catches this like real big fish. It's
Arctic
like
trout.
Arctic trout,
Yeah.
and he's like so excited, and he like cooks it with like ramen noodles, and like this woman's passed out, and he's like, "You have to try this, Arctic trout,"
because all he's been eating the whole movie is basically like
raw fish.
Yeah, sashimi of these frozen fish while he's like freezing his ass off, and then like I remember when Hanks. He like learns how to catch a crab, but then tries to eat it. It's just like slime. And he's like, ugh. But then when he can actually cook it, it's like, it's amazing.
Each of them has like a great moment. Like the gray, they kill a wolf and they like cook it. It tastes like shit, but they eat the wolf anyway.
Yeah, and it's also just like a fuck you to the wolves.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that I think, and I remember I think on AMA I said that The Revenant, I'd never been more cold watching a movie.
Yeah.
I think it was actually The Gray, Arctic, and Revenant and Everest. Like, they actually make me feel uncomfortably, like, not like when watching it. Like, I feel like I'm just out of my comfort zone because these people are so miserable.
I don't, like, totally understand how Everest even, like, came to be. Like, that's a story that's...
do this?
Well, no, not that story.
Yeah.
But that movie. Like, it was a huge cast, like a really big cast, with a lot of money behind it, on a story that had been told before, and, like, the movie was pretty good, but for whatever reason, it just, like, came and went.
Because you've got Jason Clarke, you've got Jake Gyllenhaal, you've got Brolin, you've got, I think...
Keira Knightley.
Oh, yeah, Keira's the wife. Emily
Watson.
Emily...
I think it's Emily Watson.
Yeah, Emily Watson is one of the camp people. Yeah.
You've got, like, Michael Kelly in there as he plays the writer, John Krakauer. You've got, you mentioned Brolin. You've got Jake Gyllenhaal. You've got... it's not Edgerton, the other one that looks just like him. Avatar.
Wait, Avatar? Sam Worthington's in there? Oh, yeah, Sam is in there.
Worthington.
Yeah.
Is Edgerton also, or is it just Worthington?
No, he's not. But yeah, so you look at that cast, and when it came out in 2015.
15? Yeah, okay. It's like a big movie from just a few years ago, but I feel like that movie has already been completely forgotten. And it's directed by Baltasar Kormakur, my man.
Your favorite director.
I just don't quite understand how that movie...
Like, why?
I think all I could guess is that maybe the rights to the story was owned by that studio, and they only had a certain amount of time before the option on that story ran out. So maybe they felt they had to make that movie. But why was that movie made then?
And it also feels like a movie where it was like all these guys made this movie 4 years ago before they were famous, and now that's all coming out. But that's not the case.
No, they're all pretty major stars. Like, it feels like you would have had to pay the cast a lot of money to do that movie.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we got them all. Vanessa Kirby's also in there. Oh, Vanessa Kirby's in there.
Oh.
She's great in the new. And Robin Wright. So just a stacked cast.
Yeah, Robin Wright is Brolin's wife.
Yeah. We left out Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Oh, those are good ones.
Those are great.
Disaster movies are just terrific.
Yeah.
It's a Geostorm.
Maybe we'll have to do a disaster movie show one day.
I think so. I think there's some really fun cliches in the disaster movies.
That is the yang to this show's yin. 2 weeks in a row with that
Very
reference.
good with that reference.
Sick!
There was some other Liam Neeson impressions I wanted to do on this show or the other, but it just doesn't feel...
Yeah, we'll have to... We'll get him in.
We'll come back to some improvisational comedy.
Wait, what? Improvisational comedy?
Cold Pursuit is a new Liam Neeson movie coming out this next week that he's a snowplow driver, I think, whose son is murdered. He seeks revenge.
It literally says he thinks they murdered his son. He doesn't even know.
I think the drug dealer murders his son is named Viking, so...
So you know it's going to be good.
I'm excited for that one. I reached out to the PR company on that one. They haven't even responded about a screening, so I can't imagine it's very good.
You don't want to see this, man. Don't waste your afternoon.
But I'm sure we'll find more ways to talk Liam Neeson. Improvisational comedy.
Yeah, guys. So if we missed any of your favorite, wilderness survival movies, Man vs. Wild, or if there's things our criterion didn't fit yours, or the things you thought we missed, just let us know in the comments below. We always love to read them. I love to see all your lists. I loved all of the lists during the Spider-Man and the Batman episodes.
Oh, yeah, you guys so many. I think we'll probably make a little more of an effort going forward to respond to a lot of those comments because, ultimately discussing this is what the show's about. So getting ideas from you guys. So thanks to everybody who listened and watched, and you're seeing this at 3 p.m. So check out the New York Schmodown kickoff to Season 6 on the Movie Trivia Schmodown YouTube channel. You can Be sure to subscribe to the Movie Talk feed. That's where you can find the show. If you're listening to it there, give it a rating and review. Like, subscribe, comment on YouTube. And be sure to check out patreon.com/Team Action. That's where we do additional content. It's like a direct access to us if you guys want to send messages and submit top 5 lists. We have some video content coming out here this month.
Yeah, we're also going to start doing a new thing where at least a couple times a month, Ben and I are going to start doing watch-alongs on our Patreon. We're going to be watching the movie that we cover next week. So, for instance, we are going to be watching and covering Shawshank Redemption next week on Action Movie Anatomy.
We've got a special guest on Action Movie Anatomy, Mr. Drew McQueenie, who's coming on as a special guest on the show for the first time, which we're excited about. So be sure to check out Action Movie Anatomy for Shawshank. And I believe next week on this show, we're doing like a top 5 all-time movies episode.
Yeah, because I think Shawshank is probably in both of our top 5s. And
definitely mine.
That's just something we got to talk about.
Yeah, so I think we'll both be kind of coming up with some format to talk about that and probably do Liam Neeson impressions.
Yes, we absolutely will.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See you same time, same place next week.
Bye.